بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وفقها في الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, so today's reminder will be about the virtues of Ramadan. But before we begin, it's very important, sisters, that we begin in renewing our intention. In Islam, there is a great importance upon niyyah. Great emphasis is put upon intention. And intention is something that resides in your heart. So for the younger girls who are listening, your desire, your wishes, whatever you think of, whatever you want to pursue, it originates from your heart, then your body follows. Okay, it doesn't work the other way around. We do certain actions because we have a desire in our chest, a want. So today you left your home, you came to this masjid, you came to benefit yourself. Why did you come? This is the most important question. Right? Some of you might say, Hoya's here, Hoya brought me here, or whatever it may be. But for those who are older, why did you come? And this is what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. So sisters, please, I don't want anyone to waste their time. I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want you to waste your time. Renew your intentions. Even us waiting for the reminder to begin was ibadah. All of this, you want it to be a source of benefit for you on the day where nothing else will benefit you. No mom, no dad, no clothing, no riches, nothing will come to your support. Just today we buried a brother called Noor. May Allah Azza wa Jal have mercy upon him. And as we buried him, subhanAllah, that's it. This is the reality that every single one of us, we should be working towards. Wallahi, today you are remembered. Today you are living. Today you are talking. Today you're animated. You have wishes. You have goals. You have aspirations, whatever it may be. But tomorrow you'll be in your grave. And that's what we're working for, sisters. That is my intention. That I hope that is your intention as well. We want something that will benefit us for our akhirah. So inshallah, please, as you sit here, allow your heart to be present. Allow your ears to be present. Try to listen to every word. If you have your phone, the only reason why I have my phone is I want to look at some of the text, but my phone just died. But it's important that if you have your phone next to you, please put it away. You don't need to be on Twitter or Snapchat or anything right now. If you have your phone, just keep it by your side. The only time you can get up is to answer your parents' phone call. So if mom calling, dad calling, if it's an emergency, you can get up and leave. Otherwise, please put your mobile phones away. Make sure you're present. And I ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He makes this short time that we have together one that is full of benefit. Allahumma ameen. So Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He talks about Ramadan. But before we talk about that, we're in the month of Sha'ban, and Ramadan is fast approaching. And just yesterday I read the words of the scholars, and they said that when Ramadan left, we cry at the departure of Ramadan. And it's true, subhanAllah. I once found myself in i'tikaf in a masjid, and I was only around 18 at the time. And then I saw grown men crying. I saw grown men. We're in i'tikaf. It's the end of Ramadan. I'm happy. I'm going to leave the masjid. I'm going to celebrate Eid with my friends and family. So I'm genuinely happy in my feeling. But then I see people around me. The mu'adhin who was calling the adhan for Maghrib, as we know, in Islam, it follows a lunar calendar. That means the night comes before the day. As in the first day of the Ramadan is in fact the first night. And that's why you pray Taraweeh. When Ramadan enters, you're not fasting that day. the first night of Ramadan is when Ramadan begins. So the Mu'adhin, he called the adhan for the next month after Ramadan, Shawwal, and he starts to cry in the adhan. And men around me were crying. So with Ramadan leaving, it is a sad moment for the believer, because Ramadan is a great month. Is a month of mercy, a month of the forgiveness of Allah, a month of gaining salvation from the hellfire. It's a month of change. It's a month of reflection. It's a month where we realize that there exists happiness and joy outside of physical pleasure. Outside of eating and drinking, which is a physical pleasure, there is pleasure outside of that. And Ramadan teaches us that lesson. So he was crying. The Salaf, they would cry when Ramadan leaves. 6 months, they would be in hope and wish that Ramadan enters. And they would ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to accept their deeds that they perform. And now, sisters, we only have a few days left. Less than 15 days, 14 days left till we reach the month of Ramadan. Many people die before they reach the Ramadan. Many people don't get to see it. So before you have hopes and goals and aims, what I would like everyone to do is make a dua and say, Allahumma balighna Ramadan. Oh Allah, allow us to reach the best month of Ramadan. But when it does enter, we now have joys of tears of joy. We're happy. Ramadan is here, the month of change. Now, today's lecture, inshallah, I think next week we'll be talking about more, how do I prepare for Ramadan? What goals should I set? As for today, I will only cover the virtues of Ramadan. What is the goal of Ramadan? What is the aim? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, "O you have believed, fasting has been prescribed upon you. فُرِضَ عَلَيْكُمْ كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمْ." So those who are studying, when you hear the word kutiba, it has been ordained, decreed, has been made wajib. Fasting is one of the pillars of Islam. In order for me to be a Muslim, when Ramadan enters and I reach certain requirements, which we will talk about next week, some of the fiqh rulings, I must fast. If I'm old enough, if I have enough health, wherever it may be, I must fast if I fulfill those conditions. So fasting has been prescribed upon you, كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ, as it was prescribed to those that were before you. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So in Arabic, there's a structure, okay? So there's always things which are mentioned. This has been ordained so that you may gain this. This has been prescribed so that you may gain this. So if I want to know what is the purpose of Ramadan, this is the focus. In Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it was prescribed upon those that were before you, so that you may gain taqwa. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Now before I talk about the لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, why does Allah say, "O you have believed, fasting has been prescribed upon you and those that were before you"? The reason why Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions this, and you can find this with the explanation of Sheikh Uthaymeen, He says that so that it can feel easy on our hearts. When you know that there is someone that came before you that also did this deed, it becomes easier for you to handle. And you know, Bani Adam, we always love to complain. You know, why me? You have it even with the siblings. Mom tells you to do something. Why me? We always like this as Bani Adam. So Allah Azza wa Jalla, He addresses mankind and He says that it was prescribed upon you like it was prescribed upon those that were before you. And you'll find the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He will use this throughout the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jalla will settle the heart of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and He will tell him the stories of the prophets that were before him. Why? So he can then find strength. You know, the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, what he went through. Musa alayhi salam, what he went through. Ibrahim alayhi salam, what he went through. So when the Prophet reads these stories and revelation is happening over a period of 23 years, what does that do to the heart of the Prophet? It settles his heart, it gives him strength, it gives him hope. And this is what it should do for us, sisters and brothers. It should do this for us as well. When we read the Quran, we should find strength, we should be empowered. So Allah, He says, fasting is prescribed upon you like it was prescribed upon those that were before you, so it then becomes easy on our chest. What is the goal of Ramadan? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So what is fasting? Ulama mention linguistic meanings and then shar'i meanings. So first of all, the word Ramadan, it comes from a word that means to burn, okay? It burns something. Linguistically, the word Ramadan comes from Ramadan, which means to burn. It burns an object, an item. So what is the Islamic connection with Ramadan? The aim is that it burns away our sins. It burns away our sins. There's not a single person who enters Ramadan without a sin. Every Bani Adam, young or old, able or disabled, black or white, from different qabil, everyone sins. That's one thing. We all have the same trade. We all trade in sin. And this is why Imam Shafi'i, even in his lines of poetry, he would say that he is not amongst those righteous people. This Imam Shafi'i, great scholar in Islam. You know, some of us, we attribute righteousness to ourselves. And I'm a mu'min, as in like a high state of iman, or I am Salafi, or I am this, or I am this. We make a lot of claims. But Allah Azza wa Jal, in the sight of Allah, in the court of Allah, wallahi, is not about just your jilbab or your niqab. It's not just about your outward appearance. But to Allah is both the inner and the outer. And this is why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is connected to لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. He says that true taqwa is that the iman settles in your heart and it finds truthfulness or sidq in your action. So your fear of Allah, you read Surah Al-Fatiha. Just reading Surah Al-Fatiha or Juz Amma, Alhaakum Al-Takathur, or Surah Al-Ghashiyah. It kept you at that verse and you reflected over the akhirah and it made you fear Allah. That is taqwa. So sisters, what is the purpose of Ramadan? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Always remind it in your mind. What is the purpose of Ramadan? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So that I may gain piety. Now, I think here, I know definitely at Risali, you may have classes in Arabic. It's very important, sisters, that you study the Arabic language. When you look at the Quran translation of لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, it says, so that you may become righteous, so that you may become God-fearing or God-consciousness. Now, at-taqwa, it encompasses all of those meanings and more. So your aim now is, I want to be from the muttaqeen. If I fast in the month of Ramadan and I observe the correct type of fasting, the way that the Prophet ﷺ fasted, then you will become from the muttaqeen. And why is it important that you become of the muttaqeen? There are many ayats, okay? But from amongst them, this ayah, for me, I love the most. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. Allah, He says, indeed, Allah is with, the ma'iyyah of Allah. If your mom or dad or a friend of yours or someone that you trust, they tell you, you know what, I've got your back. You know what, don't worry about this. You're going through some issues, you run to the closest person or the person that you trust and they tell you, you know what, don't worry about this. What happens to your heart straight away? It settles. You trust their support, their aid. I'm talking about in goodness, by the way. I don't mean they're supporting you in evil. Okay? So you trust them. The same is with Allah Azza wa Jal, even greater. And this is why Musa alayhi salam, when he was facing the Bahr, the ocean, but yet the enemies of Allah are behind him, what did he say? Inna ma'i Rabbi sayahdeen. My Lord is with me and He will guide me. So the ma'iyyah of Allah, sisters, is very, very important. Some of you may say, you know what, I've got lots of friends. Or some may not even have any friends. But you know what really matters? That you are close with who? Allah Azza wa Jal. That you are close and that you befriend someone or Allah Azza wa Jal who will never forsake you as long as you are close to Him and His remembrance. Allah Azza wa Jal will never turn away from you. Here you have both the Muslim and the Kafir. Look around. Everyone is enjoying the blessings of Allah. Even the one who shuns Allah, who rejects Allah, Allah Azza wa Jal is still feeding them. Allah is clothing them. Allah is allowing them to wake up. So what about you who's a mu'minah, a Muslimah? Then Allah Azza wa Jal will definitely support you. But you must be willing to live for Allah. So Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. Allah, He says, indeed He is with those who have taqwa and those who are good doers. إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. Indeed, Allah is with those who have taqwa, and we're going to explain taqwa in more detail, and muhsinun, meaning the good doers. And I know the word taqwa encompasses both doing the good, but there was a reason why muhsinun was mentioned. Because the word muhsin, it comes from a level of ihsan, sisters. And this is something that is lacking. Some of us, we may pray, but there's not ihsan in our prayer. We may read Quran, but there's not ihsan in our reading Quran or going to Duksi or wherever it may be. There's not a level of ihsan. We say to our mom and dad, we love you, but there's not ihsan in that love. You know, are you aware of how she is, how she woke up, what she ate, what he's doing? Do you have that level of excellence, that level of executing a deed with total perfection? No, we don't have this. We only have it in things that are only fulfilling our desires. So you see that you will pursue something and you will never tire from it. Look at the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He will stand in Qiyamul Layl. He will stand in Qiyamul Layl and he will find pleasure in standing for Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? He finds pleasure in it. He finds pleasure. You know the way that some of us can say, you know what, I'm watching this Netflix movie, whatever it may be, or a show, or something on TV, and you're watching it season after season. Maybe you just decide to watch, you miss 5 seasons, you decide to watch all of them in one day. You may do this. You say, you know what, it's half term, I'm going to watch entire seasons now. Or do this. Why? You say, I find pleasure in it. The Prophet ﷺ, his heart was in line or inclined to what was pleasing to Allah and His Rasul. Now, sisters, you have to ask yourself, is my heart in line with or inclining towards what is pleasing to Allah and His Rasul? Or is it only in what is pleasing to my hawa, my desire, or pleasing to my culture, or pleasing to someone who is at the disobedience of Allah, or pleasing to a culture which exists, you know, living here in the West, okay? You know, majority of you girls either born here or raised in this environment. So now London is your culture. Your parents don't know that culture. You know, they cannot relate to that culture. They may understand certain bits, but they cannot relate to what society you're raised in. So if we're taking these ways, other than the way that is pleasing to Allah, this is your deen. This is what you're inclined towards. So here the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will make it very clear. He will say, if your ham or your desire is the hereafter, then Allah Azza wa Jal, He will gather your affairs. You're going to uni, you're studying, you're working, whatever you may be pursuing, Allah, He promises the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He says, if your intention is the hereafter, you want Allah, you want Jannah, you want a na'im that will never end, then Allah Azza wa Jal promises, Jama'a Allahu lahu amrahu. Allah will gather all of your affairs. You don't need to stress. And this is why sometimes if shaitan comes to you and he's stressing you out about something, no, stress and anxiety is one of the deceptions of the devil. With that said, I do not want to belittle anyone going through depression or mental illness. But anxieties and worries over the dunya, la abadan. The prophets, they would say, ufawwitu amri ila Allah. I entrust my affair. Imagine they're living life, they're humans, but if they go through difficulties, they say, I entrust all of my affairs to Allah Azza wa Jal. No one knows what you're going through. You might put on a fake smile, you might laugh about something, but you might have problems. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being the Prophet of Allah, he says to Allah, وَلَا تَكِلْنِي إِلَى نَفْسِي طَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ. Oh Allah, do not leave me to myself, not even for a blink of an eye. So if you want the akhirah, which is taqwa, Allah will gather your affairs. You will know what to do. X, Y, Z. Everything is planned out for you because you're a Muslimah. You seek Jannah. You don't seek this worldly life. This worldly life is a prison for the believer. He's holding on. She's holding on to her deen. She knows that the Prophet ﷺ, he said a time will come that a person holding on to their Islam will like be a person who's holding on to hot coal. So you know that as a sister living in this society where it calls you to commit haram openly. It calls you to be in a place and do certain things as you wish. But out of your modesty, out of your love for Allah Azza wa Jal, you put Allah first, your greatest love. And this is why many times we misunderstand how we treat love. If you love Allah Azza wa Jal, then you can love everyone else correctly. But if you love other things and objects and people before Allah, you can never love anyone truly. And you can never really fulfill that ultimate beautiful love which Allah Azza wa Jal mentions in the Quran. So Allah, He gathers everyone's affairs. Number 2, Allah Azza wa Jal will place ghina in your heart. Richness, happiness, contentment. Not in objects, not in phones, not in clothing, not in houses, not in commodities. None of this bring you true happiness. You use the dunya. I need a phone. I need to make calls. I need to send emails quicker, wherever it may be. To take pictures, take some selfies, wherever it may be. You utilize it, wherever it is. You have a home, you need a home. Take care of your family. You need to go to work, you need to study. All of these things are things that you utilize with your hand, but you never allow the dunya to enter your heart. You never allow yourself to compromise. Sisters, you're at the forefront of da'wah. Wallahi, unlike the brothers, we are not visibly Muslim. I'll be honest with you. Unlike the brothers, sisters, you are visibly Muslim. Your jilbab, your niqab, your hijab, your abaya, all of these, you are visibly Muslim. Therefore, shaitan will come to you more than he will come to someone else who disobeys Allah. The more you practice your religion, the more you practice your Islam, shaitan, he will work even harder against you. So Allah Azza wa Jalla says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Number one, Allah will gather all of your affairs. Number two, Allah will place richness in your heart. وَأَتَتُ الدُّنْيَا وَهِيَ رَاغِمَةٌ. And the dunya will come to you even though you do not seek it. Regardless, it will come to you. And this is why you'll find that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was as'adun nas. Sisters, if you are seeking whatever you are seeking, what is your ultimate goal? Happiness. If happiness is your ultimate goal, what is happiness? You need to ask yourself, what is happiness? Is it having X amount of things, this amount of wealth, this amount of beauty? What is happiness? Who defines for us what happiness is? Allah Azza wa Jalla, he mentions that the believer will be happy in two situations. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, at the point of breaking his fast, okay, we're all excited, right? We're all happy. At that moment when you break your fast, the believer, he feels happy. Not just about eating his food, but also asking Allah to accept his fast for his sake and his sake alone. And sisters, remember, when you are fasting in the month of Ramadan, know that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said in a hadith Qudsi, that Allah said, "As-sawmu li wa ana ajzi bih." Fasting is for me, and I will reward the fasting person. And there's a rule in regards to Islamic sciences that when Allah does not specify the reward, and the reward is left open like this, they know that the reward is great and magnificent, that the reward is lofty and something worth chasing behind. So Allah Azza wa Jalla says, "As-sawmu li." All of the deeds that Bani Adam does is for himself, except for fasting. Fasting is for me, and I will reward the fasting person. So Allah places richness in your heart. Allah gathers all of your affairs. And the dunya will come to you, sisters, as long as you seek the akhirah. So the word here, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, the purpose of Ramadan is that I leave Ramadan with extra taqwa. What is taqwa? Taqwa is better experienced than defined. It's like talking about the concept of love is best experienced, not defined. Talking about mercy is best felt, not defined. You can define certain words, but taqwa is something that you feel, that you live by. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was a person of taqwa. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the Anbiya and the Sahaba, they were people of taqwa. Number one, taqwa means that you have a level of consciousness of Allah Azza wa Jalla at all times. What does that mean? That means that Allah is always on your mind. The akhirah is always on your mind. Wallahi, sisters, in a moment, you can die. In a lahza, just moments, you can pass away. That is only known by Allah, not known by anyone else. And because of that, you would take the advice of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He said, "Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharib aw 'abir as-sabil." He said, be in this worldly life as if you are a stranger or someone who's traveling on the way. Remember, the Prophet is saying this, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He said, be a stranger in this dunya. Meaning, don't try to be a person that wants everyone's attention. I want to be center of attention. I want to be known. I want this. I want that. And unfortunately, this is the time we live in. SubhanAllah, the Sahaba, they didn't want to be known, even if they did good. Do you know how people knew that this Sahaba or this person was a person that did goodness after their death? When they died, they will realize that this person, he used to do the khair, because this khair no longer is happening. So he must have been the one that was behind it, and then his family will expose him. We live in a time now, sisters, please, wallah, I give you the sincere advice, protect yourself. Protect yourself from ever doing things for other human beings, forever chasing the love of human beings. Wallahi, we are all equal here. All of us, we will enter this qabr. We will enter this grave. Everyone here today is equal. Doesn't matter, young, old, rich, poor, what country you come from, we're all going to enter that grave. And the only thing that will be worth having in your grave is this beautiful thing that comes in the grave. And you look at this beautiful thing and the scent that is coming from it. And you ask, and its brightness. And you ask it, who are you? And it says to you, I am the good deeds that you did in this dunya. This is the only thing that we see. And the opposite is true. For the one who did evil, all they will see is something which is foul and it smells of filth. Now, back to the topic of taqwa. Taqwa is something that you do that makes you always aware of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah is on your mind. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to one of the young companions, and I know there's a lot of young sisters here, especially at half term, but wallahi, you need to build your love of Allah whilst you're young. You need to put Allah first. No compromising. Allah is first. I will not entertain nothing that is haram. Abadan. I only want to put Allah first. Why? Allah is the one who gave you, which no man can ever give you, which no other person can ever give you. Allah gave you your Islam, your health, ability to speak, see, hear, taste, touch. Who can give this to you? No one. Therefore, how can you put someone before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So me, in seeking Allah, comes first. My prayer, my consciousness, my awareness of Allah Azza wa Jal. So he said to this young companion, he said, احفظ الله يحفظك احفظ الله تجده تجاهك. He said, be mindful of Allah. Be conscious of Allah. احفظ الله يحفظك. You know the word, you hear this term, hifz, right? Hafid. You hear someone's hafid of the Quran. So what they really are, they are someone who preserve and guard the words of Allah in their chest. And this is why, if any of you are hafid of the Quran, this is something you have to be very, very careful of. Someone who memorizes the words of Allah, how can the words that you utter the names of Allah with speak foul, filth, and backbite and slander? How with the same mouth you're able to slander and backbite others? Hafid, ihfadillah. Be mindful of Allah and Allah will protect you. Be conscious of Allah and you will find Allah in front of you. This is what Ramadan is meant to be. Ramadan, I'm meant to have taqwa. What is taqwa? That I am conscious of Allah Azza wa Jal. Ali radiallahu anhu, he gives his own definition. He says, and you know Ali radiallahu anhu, living in the house of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, marrying the daughter of the Prophet, Faadima radiallahu anha. There was no other woman who resembled the Prophet in his speech and his actions like Fatima radiallahu anha. So sisters, you have great role models. Khadija radiallahu anha, Fatima radiallahu anha. If we just stop at Fatima and Khadija alone, and we have also in Aisha radiallahu anha, even both men and women can benefit from them. Fatima radiallahu anha, she would speak like the Prophet, her father, walk like the Prophet, her father, and do actions like her father. Everything. And he would greet her with love, make her sit where he sat, and he would bring her close. So Ali radiallahu anhu, he said, taqwa is the following. Please listen carefully. He said, for you to have consciousness of Allah, or to become a muttaqi, in order for you to gain piety in the month of Ramadan, it is the following things. Number one, that you act with the tanzeel. At-taqwa, amalu bit-tanzeel. That you act upon the tanzeel. Tanzeel, nazzala, yunazzilu tanzeela. Tanzeel here is the Quran and the Sunnah. The Quran and the Sunnah. And I know it's become cliche. I'll be very honest with you. Everyone is saying, I follow the Quran and Sunnah. Everyone is saying it. But here, Ali radiallahu anhu, the Sahaba, for them, a person of Quran and Sunnah, you can see it in their lifestyle, in their speech, in their walk, in their modesty, in their business transaction. them being aware of their parents, adab, throughout their life. Not in Twitter or Snapchat or Facebook or social media alone. You don't see this. This is something that I would love to warn the sisters away from. Do not be someone who spends their entire life in taking pictures and uploading them. If Allah bless you with beauty and you consider yourself to be beautiful, then my advice is that you look in the mirror and that you say, "Oh Allah, the way you have perfected my beauty, perfect my akhlaq." Wallahi, I tell you that the true beauty is in character. It's not in pictures going online. It is not you spending your life away on music or concerned about other people's life. Wallahi, this life is short. You will never live another life. This life is yours. You do with it what you want. But make sure it is pleasing to Allah and something you can rejoice over. That we will spend a lot of time in the grave, subhanAllah. And I know the time in the grave is relative. There's no concept of time once you enter Hayatul Barzakh, the grave. But people who are in the grave spend more time in the grave than they're actually alive. So why not work for that? Why don't we, every single one of us, wherever we're doing, wherever we're pursuing, I want to beautify my grave. I want my grave to be Rawda min Riyad al-Jannah, a grave from the garden, a garden from the gardens of paradise. I want my hereafter to be filled with palaces. How? To be filled with trees. Subhanallah walhamdulillah. You know, you read the Quran and it talks about Jannah having gardens. And I know the youth today, you talk to them about gardens and paradise, but no one desires gardens, right? You don't see the park is filled with young teenagers or young men. But you know what? Young children and old people, they have a sense of appreciation for gardens. Wallahi, they have a sense of appreciation. The heart settles. Why do you think we give each other flowers? Why do you think that people hold events in parks? Because when we see greenery, Bani Adam, our hearts settle. We find a sense of peace. This is what Allah, He talks about gardens. He talks about rivers flowing underneath. He talks about palaces. He talks about reclined thrones. Why? Just some things which bring you and draw you closer. But we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is blessing upon blessing upon blessing. So here Ali radiallahu anhu, he says, Amalu bitanzeel, sisters, in order for you to benefit from Ramadan, in order for you to gain taqwa, you have to act according to the Quran and the Sunnah. Not this person said, that person said, this Qabil said, my culture said. No. Did Allah say this? Did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam act upon this? Is it authentic? Therefore I act. Al-amalu bitanzeel. وَرِضَى بِالْقَلِيلِ, and that you are pleased with little things in life. And I know this one is, I think, very, very difficult, especially living in a world where it calls you to, want more. And the Prophet ﷺ, he spoke of this reality. He said, Bani Adam, if he had a mountain of gold, he would wish to have another mountain. You are someone today, if you had 2 million, what do you want? You say, I would love to have 10 million, 100 million. Wherever it may be, I want more. You have a house in Dubai, and the elders listening, you have a house in Dubai or elsewhere, what do you want? I want another house in Kenya or in Somalia, wherever it may be. We're never satisfied as Bani Adam. But do you know who is satisfied? The muttaqi. The one who has taqwa, he's satisfied. He rida bil qaleel. He's pleased with a little. Just a breeze hits him or her, or they have cool water, or they have a home which they make a home. Remember, people will live in houses. But who makes a home? The people that live inside it. It might be a studio flat, 1-bedroom flat, but there could be a lot of barakat because of the taqwa that exists in that home. Number 3, he says, وَالْإِسْتِعْدَادِ لِيَوْمِ الرَّحِيلِ, and that you prepare for the day that you will depart. Prepare. We all need to prepare. Today, subhanAllah, at the graveyard, when we buried Noor, one uncle, he gave a nasiha, and he said, Noor today, his clothing is still at home. His bedroom, no one's going to sleep on his bed. His bed is empty now. His clothes are still there. And all these young men, they were crying. Everyone was crying, subhanAllah, all his friends. And Noor, subhanAllah, he got shot and stabbed, subhanAllah. A few weeks ago, he passed away. This is the manner he died in. May Allah Azza wa Jal have mercy upon him. Ameen. Now, when this is happening, and this is the reality, we're all going to depart, but we all enter the door of death in a different way. Am I going to die? Yes, without a doubt. Are you going to die? Yes. Mom, Dad? Yes. Everyone is going to die. Every nafs is going to taste death. But the reality is, we should remind ourselves what Jibreel alayhi salam said to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, أحبب من شئت فإنك مفارقه وأعمل ما شئت فإنك ميت. He said, love whoever you wish, but a day will come that you will depart from them. But if you love someone for the sake of Allah, by the way, that love, does it continue? Yes, it does. It continues till you enter Jannah. And that love, with your family and your spouse and your children, you experience that love in the akhirah. But in the dunya, that's one reality, sisters. We need to prepare for the hereafter. You need to prepare, be very serious with yourself. Okay, how much Quran have I memorized? How much of that Quran have I acted upon? How much do I know of the deen which I'm ignoring? How can I really prepare and be sincere? Because Ramadan, sisters, I'll be honest with you, is the month of reality. The month where Allah, He wants to see from you your sincerity. The more a deed is hidden, the more it is closer to sincerity. So today I'm here, I'm talking, but this deed I'm doing, there is always doubt of it being accepted. But the deed you do at home and private, here you're amongst friends, your sisters, your friends, you message each other, wherever it may be. Where you're in your Quran halaqah, you're outside giving da'wah, all of this public domain, the Salaf, they would always be like, you know what, arju min Allah, I hope that Allah will accept this. But the deed that is done private, in your home, no one sees you. You put your salli, your prayer mat, you read your prayers, in your own home, you cry to Allah Azza wa Jal. You ask Allah to forgive you for your shortcomings in your sin. Wherever deed that is hidden, it is closer to sincerity. The more it is hidden, the more it's closer to sincerity. The next one after that is Ramadan. Ramadan, unless you got dry lips and you're telling people you're fasting and you're making it obvious by collapsing, no one knows you're fasting. No one has any idea. Your Muslim colleagues that you work with, Muslims, we have husnul dhan, we think well of each other, that everyone is fasting. But no one really knows, is this person fasting? Are they not fasting? So when it comes to Ramadan, it is the closest to sincerity. No one knows. You could go into the kitchen, pretend to mom and dad you've been fasting. Just before Maghrib, just start eating the bowl, the sambrus, something, you taste it, wherever it may be. Right? All of this is to teach us about sincerity. I remember growing up, my uncle, he would encourage us to fast. May Allah bless him. He would say, you know what, if you fast Ramadan, you get £100. You fast 30 days, you get £100. But the true meaning of Ramadan, he used that as an incentive. But we were children. But now as adults, what is the purpose of me fasting? Why am I giving up eating and drinking, which is halal, and if you are married, intimacy, which is halal, from Maghrib, from Fajr, from sunrise till sunset? Why am I giving that up? So that Allah Azza wa Jal, so that you may gain taqwa. That is the aim. So that you become pious. So that Allah teaches you there is pleasure outside of these halal things. Number 2 is that for those who are engaged in sin, so you're committing haram, right? You're in a particular haram. I don't know. I don't want to list it. You think of any haram that you are committing currently. You are involved in something. Now Ramadan teaches you, if you're giving up halal in Ramadan, which is permissible, then how easy is it to give up something which is haram? Even easier. You are preventing yourself from eating and drinking basic human necessities, to eat and drink. But yet you're giving that up because Allah legislated it. It is ta'abbud lillah. I am fasting. Yes, there are secondary benefits, by the way. You lose weight. Allahu Akbar. You get fit. Unfortunately, you know what I've read actually? I actually read that people gain more weight in Ramadan than outside of Ramadan. Okay, and I know some of you might be nodding your heads right now. You probably agree to that reality. It's true. More people gain weight in Ramadan than outside of Ramadan. Why? Because mom and dad, may Allah bless our mothers, say Ameen. And our fathers, they try. But the mothers, may Allah bless them, they go in the kitchen, and sisters, they go in the kitchen, they're there cooking. It's a feast. Your friends, maybe not Muslim. I remember my non-Muslim friends, when they came over to my house, they thought, is there a party today? What's happening? No, we're about to break our fast. And he goes, what, it's going to be like this for 30 days? He goes, I'm going to come to your house, that's it, from now on. Now, in a Muslim home, what we have to teach ourselves is, and wallahi, if you have your parents and you left them at home today, what you're going to say is, Mom, Dad, Ramadan, we're only going to eat a little and we're all going to the masjid. We're not going to leave Mom behind. You know, I know Mom, she took a lot of ajr because Mom's very smart. I know she did it culturally at times and it's probably expected from her, but wallahi, Mom and Dad, whoever's cooking, they took the most ajr because they were fasting and they fed the fasting person. So they get double the reward. And we're just there stuffing away. So here, what I would like all of us to do, this is a side note, is Ramadan enters, you don't need to cook. Eat a little bit of food, maybe eat yesterday's suhoor for iftar, and then everyone go to the masjid. Ramadan should be totally different from the rest of the months. Do not make it a time of feast. Yes, one of those nights, invite family, feed them, but don't sit there rubbing your belly and say, oh, I'm stuffed, that's it. We're not going to Taraweeh. You know, I might vomit in the masjid or I might burp and so on. No. The point of Ramadan is that you sacrifice, you leave, and the women as well should attend the masjid in the best way possible. So he said three things. I think there was a fourth one, but I don't recall it now. So he said, عَمَلُ بِالتَّنْزِيلِ وَرِضَى بِالْقَلِيلِ وَالْإِسْتِعْدَادِ لِيَوْمِ الرَّحِيلِ. That you act upon the Quran and Sunnah. This is true taqwa. That you prepare, that you are pleased with the little in this dunya. And finally, that you prepare for the hereafter. You prepare and you get your things ready. Another definition of taqwa was given by Umar radiallahu anhu. He said, taqwa is, imagine yourself going through a thorny park, or a thorny, like trees and so on, garden. And then it has spikes or thorns coming out. So you lift your garment, just so it doesn't, scratch you or cling onto you. You lift your garment and you move around it. This is taqwa, sisters. And we're living in a time that the person who has true taqwa, they're very, very rare. Why? The people of taqwa, there's this phrase in Arabic, they say, يَتَّقِي مَا لَا يُتَّقَى. They fear things that most people do not fear. They're very mindful. And this is the difference between someone who really wants high places in Jannah. They don't engage themselves in Netflix. I'll be honest with you. You might find this weird. You might say, they're a bit boring. But there are people, believe it or not, sisters, there are people that do not watch football, that do not watch movies, that do not watch shows on TV or interested on Twitter or Facebook. They're not following any of these things. They have their Quran, they have their ibadah, they love their family, they have their responsibilities, and they're preparing for their grave. And this is what every single one of us should do. Wallahi, the dunya is calling us. إنما الحياة اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو وزينة وتفاخر بينكم وتكاثر في الأموال والأولاد. Allah Azza wa Jal, sisters, He talks about the reality of this dunya. Wallahi, I told you about Noor, right? That's the truest reality. Al-Haqa, the truest reality. You will die. But the dunya, no matter how much it lifts you, it will lower you. Today you're healthy, a time will come you become sick. Today you have friends, a time will come that you feel loneliness. Today you are rich, a time will come that you will taste poverty. Wallahi, this is the sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jal. Everyone that is lifted is then debased. And before that happens, know the reality. Keep the dunya at a distance. Every time it comes to you, take it, give it. Take it, give it. Never allow it to enter your heart or your homes. And that means, sisters, even your phones. Please, sisters, may Allah honor you and bless you. Wallahi, your phones, please, do not be a community, a nation, okay, please, of phones. Wallahi, leave it. Wallahi, we are trapped with this phone. Like families tell me, my children come in, mom's on the phone, girls are on their phones, brother is on his PS4. It's like there's no family unit. This is why we are failing as a society. And sisters, wallahi, believe it or not, you are the entire ummah. Many of the Salaf, they would say that the women are half of the ummah. You agree with this, sisters? You are half of the ummah. Men are the other half, women are the other half. But you give birth to the other half. Women are half of this ummah, but you give birth to the other half of this ummah. So it's as if you are the what? The entire ummah. So sisters, like there's a lot resting on your shoulders. It's a lot. You have a great responsibility. You have to take that responsibility And know that a day will come that Allah Azza wa Jal, He will ask you about your responsibility, how you carried yourself. Remember, I began by saying what? You are visibly Muslim. So when Safiya or Aisha or Khadija is wearing her jilbab or her abaya or hijab, and she's talking about filth, or she's engaged in filth, or she's seen in places which she's not meant to be seen in, it's oxymoron. It doesn't feel, so it's weird, it's strange. Are you not meant to be following Islam? Are you not meant to be holding on to what is pleasing to Allah and His Rasul? And I know it's a great responsibility, but with every great reward, which is Jannah, there has to be responsibility. There has to be a level of sacrifice that you must give. And yes, the men are doing the same, or they should be doing the same. They should be also observing their haya. They should be observing their obedience to Allah. They should be loving Allah. But please, sisters, please, my sincerest advice, be women who are great role models. Be women who lead the community. And wallahi, everywhere you go, it is women who are leading communities. By Allah, it is women who are leading. And yes, men might be standing there, or the ones that we clap for, but really behind every man, and you probably heard this, right? Behind those men is great women. Wallahi, every person I know of my friends, wallahi, it is their mum or their auntie that kept bringing them to the masjid, kept bringing them to a sheikh, till they learned the Quran, till they became great men. Wallahi, so please, sisters, you also lead that by example, follow that example as well. So, just before I finish to sum up, at-taqwa is what we see. What is the purpose of Ramadan? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that I may gain piety. Also, through me gaining piety, what do I get? إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. That Allah is with those who have taqwa, who fear Him, who love Him. And the word here, fear of Allah, is not the type of natural fear that you have with animals and fear of a car hitting you or being stabbed, London. Okay, any of these type of fears, right? But it's a fear where it is with the love of Allah. So as us as believers, when a non-Muslim or someone asks you, do you fear God? Do you fear Allah? Yes. But that fear is a fear of love. If I ask you now, are you scared of your mum? You're like, yeah, I'm scared of her or mum or dad. So, but do you run to them? Do you go to them? Yes. So that fear is a fear of awe with Allah. I mean, you have awe. You have a sense of awe that you have with regards to how much you fear Allah, because of His magnificence and His greatness and what He has done for you. And at the same time, at-ta'zeem, you glorify Allah, you magnify Allah Azza wa Jal. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us of those who have taqwa. Ameen. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us of those who enter the blessed month of Ramadan. Ameen. Sisters, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he gave that advice to the son of Umar, when he said to him, be in this world as if you were a stranger or someone who's traveling, Ibn Umar, he then said, if you live to see the morning, do not have hope that you will see the evening. And if you live to see the evening, do not have hope that you will see the morning. And this is the type of tarbiyah, okay, this nurturing, which the Prophet ﷺ gave. It wasn't nothing hype, nothing about, okay, wear jilbab, grow your beard, come masjid. It wasn't that. It was true taqwa. Like, they feared Allah. When the Prophet ﷺ died, they could have returned from their religion. They didn't base their religion upon a man. Some of them became sad. They lost their senses at times. They became sad. They cried. A few of them who were munafiqeen, they left Islam. A few, a handful. Okay? But those who are true to Allah, the love of Allah, wallahi, it doesn't matter if you have many sisters around you to support you, or if you're the only sister who fears Allah. Wallahi, be that sister who fears Allah amongst her friends. And that way, inshallah, you can encourage that taqwa to flow through others. He said, if you see the night, don't think you live to the morning. What will that do to your heart, do you think, sisters? It will make you want to work in pleasing Allah Azza wa Jal, knowing that I may not live to see the morning. So before I go to sleep, let me sleep with wudu. How many sisters and brothers sleep with wudu? People go to the toilet, all they do is wash their hands, and they're like, okay, I'm going to sleep. Where's the wudu? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا يحافظ الوضوء إلا المؤمن. The only one who preserves and looks after his wudu, his state of ablution. Remember, this is a spiritual cleansing that you've done. Like, you're in the state of purity now. Okay, imagine you're not in the state of purity and you pass away that night. and that the only time you are washed is when there's ghusl. So sleep with wudu. Before you go to sleep, you decide, you know what, I may not live to see the next day. Let me pray 2 rak'ah and witr. Let me just pray 2 rak'ah before I go to sleep and witr. I may not live to see the next day. And I don't want sisters to start having a panic attack, okay, and going to sleep and worrying and laying in bed, I might die. No, it's not my aim. My aim is that you are active in your pursuit of Allah Azza wa Jal. You know, today brothers cry, women cry when someone dies, and we act, right? But that's at the time of calamity, right? And Allah Azza wa Jal, He has taught us in the Sunnah that it is important that you remember Allah in times of ease. تعرف إلى الله في الرخاء يعرفك في الشدة. If you know Allah in times of ease, you've got good health, alhamdulillah, you're doing well, you know, everything about your body and your health and your studies and your family, everything is good. This is the time to remember Allah. This is the time to give shukr to Allah. And then Allah will know you when those difficulties happen, when those pain and losses happen. Then Allah will settle your heart. I don't want us to react. I want us to be very proactive community. Okay, so that's number one. It pushes you to do good. And if you're awake in the morning, wallah, you have the whole day in front of you. And I say this because Maghrib is fast approaching. We don't know if we will live to see tomorrow. So, sisters, Jazakumullah khairan. I pray that you will find this beneficial. And that, inshallah, next week we will go through, okay, what goals or how should I start planning for Ramadan? You need to set yourself a plan. You know, I'll even introduce a type of diary that you can do, and I'll send you the links بإذن الله. جزاكم الله خيرا. أقول ما تسمعون أستغفر لي ولكم فاستغفروا لي غفور رحيم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Question answer.
Q&A.